Okay, Keats. It's Keats today. It's specifically Ode on a Grecian Urn, which is one of my favorite pieces of writing in the world. Um, Keats, of course, was wrote in the early 19th century, and he is one of the most important figures, one of the luminaries of the Romantic movement in literature, along with Shelley and Wordsworth and Byron and others. Um, he was he burned bright and left the world altogether too soon at age 25. Unfortunately, he did leave a great many absolutely great poems, of which this is certainly one of the best known. Um, and I would also make a plug, apart from his poetry, I'd make a plug for his letters. I have this selection. I don't have the collected letters, but I've had this selection for a long time, and they're just absolutely great. They're apart from what he says about poetry or art or other things, he just him describing what he's doing, where he's going, what piece of fruit he might happen to be eating or whatever it might be, and just the spirit of the person that comes out through these letters very vividly is well repays the effort of reading these. They're just fantastic, and it's in a letter of his um, to his brothers that he wrote in 1818 that he mentions his this enduring idea. He hits upon this enduring idea that he calls negative capability uh, in art, and he only gives it a few lines. I don't think he developed it anywhere, except to the extent that it's implicit in his poetry. But anyway, all he says about it is he's talking about um, he's apropos of Shakespeare, which he said possessed this quality enormously, and he says, I mean negative capability. That is, when man is capable of being in uncertainties, mysteries, doubts, without any irritable reaching after fact and reason. Um, that's very pertinent to what we'll be encountering here in Ode on a Grecian Urn. And if you've seen any of these little videos that I've been doing, it may not surprise you that I like that. Um, I think there's a lot there, and as I say, it's been this idea has really been one that a lot of people have found value in for a long time. Okay, so let's read Ode on a Grecian Urn. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time, sylvan historian, who canst thus express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme, what leaf-fringed legend haunts about thy shape, of deities or mortals, or of both, in Tempe or the dales of Arcady? What men or gods are these? What maidens loath? What mad pursuit? What struggle to escape? What pipes and timbrels? What wild ecstasy? Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Therefore, ye soft pipes, play on, not to the sensual ear, but, more endeared, pipe to the spirit ditties of no tone. Fair youth, beneath the trees, thou canst not leave thy song, nor ever can those trees be bare. Bold lover, never, never canst thou kiss, though winning near the goal. Yet do not grieve, she cannot fade, though thou hast not thy bliss, for ever wilt thou love, and she be fair. Ah, happy, happy boughs, that cannot shed your leaves, nor ever bid the spring adieu, and happy melodist, unwearied, for ever piping songs forever new. More happy love, more happy, happy love, forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever panting and forever young, all breathing human passion far above, that leaves a heart high sorrowful and cloyed, a burning forehead and a parching tongue. Who are these coming to the sacrifice? To what green altar, O mysterious priest, leadst thou that heifer lowing at the skies? and all her silken flanks with garlands dressed. What little town by river or seashore, or mountain built with peaceful citadel, is emptied of this folk, this pious morn? And little town, thy streets forevermore will silent be, and not a soul to tell why thou art desolate, can e'er return. O Attic shape, fair attitude, with breed of marble men and maidens overwrought with forest branches and the trodden weed, thou, silent form, dost tease us out of thought, as doth eternity. Cold pastoral, when old age shall this generation waste, thou shalt remain in midst of other woe than ours, a friend to man, to whom thou sayest, beauty is truth, truth beauty. That is all ye know on earth and all ye need to know. Okay, so let's consider sort of the formal landscape here first. There are one, two, three, five stanzas here, um, each of 10 lines, and they are in pentameter. There would be five poetic feet or 10 syllables each. Not every single line is 10 syllables. I found at least one that was 11. But I think he's paying attention to the music of it, and I think he probably considered it would sound sort of off if he had that particular line as 10 syllables, even though it's the same number. I think the just the rhythm and the music of it dictated to him that he had to stretch a point there in that one in those one or two places. So you have these 10 line uh, uh, stanzas that break very distinctly into each one into a quatrain and a sestet, and the rhyme scheme is what breaks them so clearly into those two basic units. And we find that the quatrain has the same rhyme pattern. The quatrain of each of the stanzas has the same rhyme pattern. The first and third lines rhyme. The second and fourth lines rhyme. Um, the sestets in each one uh, break into two tercets. So you have each line of the first tercet rhymes with a line in the second tercet. But as you go through the poem, um, the which line in the second tercet rhymes with the first changes. So let's say um, representing it alphabetically, if you have in the sestet the first tercet being A B C, um, the in the first instance the second tercet might be um, B C A. Um, it might be A B C again. It's going to be whatever. It's going to be different combinations of those, but it'll always be different. So that within this otherwise very strongly uniform structure in terms of the number of lines in each stanza, in terms of the syllables in each line, um, and the rhyme scheme, you have within the tercet, you've got this one little ripple of variation um, as the poem goes along. And it's very, if you're reading it and you're listening for that, and you wouldn't necessarily pick up on that in your first reading, but if you on subsequent readings, if you're really reading and listening for that and paying attention to that, and seeing how that interacts with the substance of the poem, it's very pleasurable. Right, it's a very nice aspect of this poem. So so what we have here is, and maybe I should say that I think more than any other any critical or theoretical treatment of literature, poetry, art, anything that I've ever absorbed, I think this poem may have more have had um, a stronger influence on the way I approach and appreciate and try to appreciate art uh, than any of those. Um, and it's kind of guided my way more than any other piece of writing I can think of, really. Um, Maybe that's not actually true, but that's how it seems to me at the moment. So okay, so the poem, as you get into it, if it isn't obvious, the poem or the this created this individual mind and consciousness and imagination that's created here is contemplating an urn upon which is etched or engraved a lived moment involving two lovers, and there's several people there. An imagined lived moment, as kind of mythical or idealized pastoral scene that may or may not include supernatural beings or spirits of some kind or other, along with the human figures. The poem seems not at all sure on that point. Um, and it's so there's a you've got this person contemplating this, and then you've got what they make of it, what they think of it, what questions arise in their mind from looking at this. And there's this kind of meta dimension to this poem that I think I should probably note. Your experience encountering this poem, this piece of art, consists of you being made to witness another mind's encounter with a different piece of art, the urn that's mentioned in it. You're looking at someone looking at something. You're watching his response to it. You're witnessing the encounter of another consciousness with a piece of art, um, and that is your encounter with a piece of art. So okay, so this moment is captured on the surface of the urn. It's frozen for all time on the surface of the urn. And as curious as he is, pattern seeking creatures that we all are, as curious as he is about the larger context implied by this scene, um, who or what precisely these figures are that are in it, what preceded this moment, what came after, what sorts of natural and social formations lie outside the frame of the scene. He seems most transfixed of all by the radical isolation of the moment. Um, it's removal in time. Um, it's um, it's being accepted from time's relentless and remorseless march, and it's standing therefore as eternal, immune from the witherings and decay and dissipations of that time brings. You have these lovers at the point they haven't come together yet. They're about to. It's not entirely clear whether the encounter that seems to be taking shape between them is entirely consensual on both sides. I don't know. I'm hoping it is. Anyway, it's presented in this kind of idealized form, and it's suspended at the moment where before the consummation of the act and uh, of the object of that what's desired, and we're contemplating that moment when the figure is and these figures are animated by this desire, but haven't accomplished it yet. And I think the the real emotional wallop of the poem lies in this interplay between the temporal um, and the eternal. Our fundamental condition as creatures of time on the one hand, and on the other, our yearning for the eternal. And this is, I think, he's trying to suggest here the power of art, finding the eternal in the passing moments of life. So he takes us through. He asks all kinds of questions. What leaf fringed legend haunts about thy shape of deities or mortals or both in Tempe or the dales of Arcadia, etc. What men or gods are these? What maidens loath? What loath meaning reluctant? What man, which is one of the little clues that this may not be an entirely consensual moment for the woman. What mad pursuit? What struggle to escape, etc. Um, he he goes on to introduce silence as a as this kind of powerful force, that heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Um, you know, play on pipes, not to the sensual ear, but more endeared, pipe to the spirit ditties of no tone, of no tone. Again, no, that's another way of being outside of time. Music unfolds in time. Um, uh, you can't hear all the notes at once. It unfolds in time. It uh, takes place in time, rises, falls, emerges, and then departs in time, and silence abides behind it. Um, so this idea, speaking of negative capability, of what's outside of what can be apprehended by the senses, he's looking at this the sense that what can be apprehended by the senses is what he sees on the urn, and then another sense is invoked, that of hearing, when he sees the image of the pipe player or players. But of course, he can't hear anything, and he finds the value in what he can't hear, what's outside of it. That's, I think, an instance of what he means by negative capability, and then that extends, throughout in lots of other ways. He's asking these questions. He can't help himself doing that. He goes through this stage of trying to understand it in rational terms, fairly rational terms. Um, but he is just absolutely wrapped and arrested by the the suspended animation of what he's seeing, that this eternal quality that it has. Um, he's never going to, the two lovers are never going to come together, but they're never going to grow old. They're never going to fade. They're never, nothing like that's ever going to happen. There's no decay. There's no anything. It's a sort of picture of heaven in a way. um, and he asks all kinds of other questions about the larger context. Who are these people who come to the sacrifice? To what green altar? Um, uh, why, this little town that's emptied of people, so that the people can be there at this scene. Um, no one will ever tell why the streets are desolate, and why it's empty. Um, okay, so in the end, and then the last stanza, he comes to. I think he goes through all these stages is in his encounter with it, and trying to make sense of it, and trying um, but then he's sort of letting it in, and he's letting its power um, take control of him, and let himself be fascinated by this image of eternity, or all that lies outside of the scope of what can be known. We're not, as he put it, the irritating yearning for fact or reason, or whatever the exact words were, and he's letting what he sees on the urn um, take him somewhere else in his mind and his imagination. But in the end, you have the lines, um, "Beauty is truth, truth beauty. That is all you know on earth, all you need to know, and all you need to know." And this is what the urn ultimately tells him. So what happens is um, in the end, beauty is our medium of truth. It's our its proxy, maybe is a better way to say it, and it resides in these physical, formal features that make up the work of art. So again, the drive to discover something deeper than the surface features and lineaments of the work of art, in the end, turn us back upon those very same features, and we discover, as I think I've put it before, that the surface is the depth, that the body is the soul. Or when you return to them after living with it and having this experience with it, those surface elements are transformed, and they become not something that you need to see through to get at something else, but they become self-sufficient themselves in this way. So The beauty that you can perceive with your senses is the truth that you seek, and you should savor that. Don't brush it away on your way to on your quest for some deeper essence. Don't treat it as a mere means to that end. And to be discarded, I guess, in a way, once it's performed that function. It must lead you back to them. Um, and as I say, they're transformed. They're not the same as they were after this experience as they were upon your first encounter. Um, okay, so I think I may just leave it there. I don't want to. I don't want to analyze it to within an inch of its life or anything like that. But anyway, it's just an absolutely great piece of art, and I encourage you to read it and spend some time with it and let it inside. Okay, so I'll read it again. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time, sylvan historian, who canst thus express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme. What leaf fringed legend haunts about thy shape, of deities or mortals, or of both? In Tempe or the dales of Arcady, what men or gods are these? What maidens loath? What mad pursuit? What struggle to escape? What pipes and timbrels? What wild ecstasy? Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Therefore, ye soft pipes, play on, not to the sensual ear, but more endeared, pipe to the spirit ditties of no tone. Fair youth, beneath the trees thou canst not leave thy song, nor ever can those trees be bare. Bold lover, never, never canst thou kiss, though winning near the goal. Yet do not grieve, she cannot fade, though thou hast not thy bliss. Forever wilt thou love, and she be fair. Ah, happy, happy boughs that cannot shed your leaves, nor ever bid the spring adieu, and happy melodist, unwearied, forever piping songs forever new. More happy love, more happy, happy love, forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever panting and forever young, all breathing human passion far above, that leaves a heart high sorrowful and cloyed, a burning forehead and a parching tongue. Who are these coming to the sacrifice? To what green altar, O mysterious priest, leadst thou that heifer lowing at the skies, and all her silken flanks with garlands dressed? What little town by river or seashore, or mountain built with peaceful citadel, is emptied of this folk, this pious morn? And little town, thy streets forevermore will silent be, and not a soul to tell why thou art desolate can e'er return. O Attic shape, fair attitude, with breed of marble men and maidens overwrought, with forest branches and the trodden weed, thou, silent form, dost tease us out of thought, as doth eternity. Cold pastoral, when old age shall this generation waste, thou shalt remain in midst of other woe than ours, a friend to man, to whom thou sayest, beauty is truth, truth beauty. That is all ye know on earth, and all ye need to know. Okay. Until next time.